Good morning, everybody. I am Greg Hain with the Hain Coaching Group. Welcome to Unlocking Service Growth. So my co-host today, as most of you know, is Ryan Groth of Sales Transformation Group, and he will introduce our guest and get us started. Ryan?
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you. For those who are joining us for the first time, welcome. Unlocking Service Growth is a program that Greg and I have been doing for how many years now? It seems, about 4 to 5 a year on average for 3 years, maybe.
I think about 3 years.
Yep. And what we always do is we bring companies that are demonstrating best practices and growing their service department and seeing great success in some form or fashion. And so we've had many joint customers on, and also just industry leaders and friends come on and graciously share their best practices. And so with that said, welcome. If you are interested in going back in time and listening to some old ones, our website now has those, and you can ask Greg for some recordings as well.
Ours are also on our website.
Excellent. So if you ever want to go back and listen to some others, these are fascinating. What I think we've done here is we become a place where you can online and via webinar just kind of fast track your development of growing your service department. And you're going to hear a wonderful story today. So I think a lot of folks are coming in, which is great. So with that said, I want to introduce our guest speaker and our featured expert today is Joseph Jolliker out of Greenwood Services. He'll tell his story, but just for my personal introduction, Joe's a guy I met and was recommended to speak with a few times some years ago, where he was just a couple of years starting his roofing service division, and fortunately got a chance to see his office and meet him, and then they joined working with us for some time, and it's been really great to see their growth. And I just love kind of they're a great example of what we're trying to teach and at STG, and they've been just awesome to watch. And so you're going to hear a great story of how they've went from basically a startup incubating out of a public bid shop, more larger union commercial roofing company, and was able to incubate and go from zero to what's pacing a $25 million a year service division at Greenwood. So super impressive, one of the larger or largest on the entire East Coast. And at the pace in which they've grown, it might be a record outside of like a merger and acquisition strategy. So super impressive growth. You guys are absolutely in for a treat. And without further ado, thanks. And then Lauren is also helping us with the slides, but she's not showing her camera, so she'll be driving that. But without further ado, Joe, super grateful for you, and take it away.
Thanks, Ryan.
Hang on, Joe. I'm going to jump in right away. Let me be clear. Greenwood is traditionally a union company, and union companies have constraints on them that make all aspects of their business more challenging for them as owners. And Joe's success is not only remarkable, it's, you might say, in spite of the fact he has an added burden that many of you don't have. And I'm saying that to take away your excuses. Now, go ahead, Joe.
I appreciate that, Greg. Thank you for having me. I'm Joe Jolliker. I'm an executive vice president of what now is Greenwood Building Envelope Services. Started off in the industry about 15 years ago, and I came from a family background in general contracting. My father was a mason by trade, so I grew up in a contracting business. From there, I went to college. I played sports. I was a college football athlete, graduated from college with a business management degree. And from there, my roofing career took form. I didn't really know what I wanted to get into. I got into the roofing industry through a distributor, and I took my first inside sales position. And it's funny, when I took that position, one of the business development guys there at the time, he asked me, he said, "Hey, do you want to be in this industry? Because I just got to ask you that question right now. He's like, because once you get into this industry, there's no getting out. You're in it for life. And I'm like, I'm 22 years old at the time. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, what do you mean? And here I am, like 15 years later, I'm in the industry. I've been in the industry. I've been 100% committed to this industry and evolving it and, to where it is today. I took a sales position, inside sales. From there, I had various jobs from that position out. I took outside sales positions. I worked for various another distributor. I worked for an on deck and equipment roofing company, and led me to Greenwood Industries. Greenwood was my biggest client at the time. I was familiar with Greenwood and, sold them a lot of material, sold them a lot of safety equipment over the years. I was familiar with ownership, David Klein and, Matt Brown and what they were doing over there. And I think I had an opportunity that David gave me to create something really special. So in 2017, I took a position at Greenwood, and I came in as a preventative maintenance manager. There wasn't really any set position, or there was an idea, but I came in as a preventative maintenance manager, and I had to figure out how to evolve that position. How was I going to involve preventative maintenance? How was I going to sell maintenance plans at the time? And I was a hands-on guy. I've always been a hands-on guy. And I needed to basically learn, basically what they were doing now and educate myself on, what Greenwood's capabilities were and what their strengths were, and then go out there and try to sell service competitively, as a union contractor. Greg mentioned, union contractor, we're 100% union, and 95% of the service companies that were my competition were all open shops and non-union shops. So I was, I had a lot of obstacles in the way right off the bat. And so I had to basically, develop a plan, and it wasn't always the right plan. Everything, it wasn't always the right systems and processes, but I had to start somewhere. And I developed a business plan to get myself through year one. And right off the bat, I had to determine, am I going to be a contractor or am I going to be a solutions guy? Am I going to be able to provide service? Am I going to be able to, how am I going to take away the pain that my customers had? So, right off the bat, I had to figure out, okay, am I going to be a contractor? Am I going to introduce myself as a contractor, or am I going to introduce myself as somebody that's hands-on, that can help somebody solve problems and find solutions? And I took that approach. That was the approach I went with. And that has led me to where I am today. Year one, we did a little over $1 million in sales. I was the only guy out there. I had a couple of right-hand guys that were doing a little bit of service with Greenwood that could help facilitate the jobs. And they had a lot of good connections. And I was able to lean on a lot of people internally that could help support what the goal was. So, year one back in 20,
Yeah, I want to move to the next slide because it shows kind of like your foundation stage, but.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, so we did a lot of, managing one-off service plans, repairs, inspections. We were working individually with, a handful of customers, and we did a little bit over $1 million worth of business. Here we are, 7 years later, we're probably going to close in at $25 million in service sales. And when I say service sales, that's everything under the service belt. This doesn't include any roof replacement work or anything like that. So at the time we were, I had to wear multiple hats, where I was out there investigating roofs. I was out there working with the repair crews that I would put on site. I was trying to capitalize on warranty leak calls. I was developing scopes of work that were more in line with people's budgets and budgetary needs, doing roof restorations. And basically, each day I got out there to try to make a difference. If it was a difference with one customer or multiple customers, I was out there trying to instill trust and provide myself as a resource to the end users, which were, which in the end became long-term, not only friends, but they're long-term, long-standing customers of Greenwood. So I think you can go to the next slide, or no, we can, yeah. So the approach evolved. It evolved from being a contractor, what you would consider a contractor, to a solutions guy. We took the reactiveness out of the service approach, and we jumped into a proactive business plan, a proactive model, a proactive approach to get ahead, to stay on top of the requirements that not only we needed to achieve to meet the goals of our client, but also to meet the goals of the goals that we set in place as a elite service company in this industry.
So Joe, if I could pause you for a second, you said a couple pretty powerful things. And it's like, but common practice, they sound common like practice, but they sound like common sense, but they're not commonly practiced. And what I heard you share was, we went from reactive to proactive, and then we were being proactive with our clients' goals and our goals. So that actually implies several things. It implies that you actually understand their clients' goals, which means you've taken the time to ask and learn, listen. And listen. And then you also set your own goals, which means you have a plan for growth. So those are two major, like, you just implied those, that's not commonly practiced. But I also want to ask you, like, can you explain what does reactive actually look like? If you were to say, hey, if I met a friend in the roofing industry and I'm telling you you're reactive, what would describe reactive? And then how does it look to be proactive?
Yeah. So reactionary. Yeah. A service company is 90% of the time, as you start, you find yourself being reactionary in the beginning, because you're picking up the phone and you're servicing clients, and you're reacting to the call. Okay. So you're reacting to the call at hand, which, is all good. You're responding, you're being efficient, you're being effective. And that's all good to a certain point. I could tell you that reactionary, to me, identifies complacency, and complacency in a business isn't going to put you in a growth strategy. So that's where I identified the proactive approach, the approach to get ahead of just to get out front of just the reactionary phone call in for a service request. By doing so, creating various programs, creating various opportunities to educate our clients on proactive approaches to find, to identify different inspections, different reporting, different documentation that's going to help give our clients a tool to utilize to maybe catch things before things become worse, or source different types of deficiencies on the roof that aren't necessarily, a problem now, but will be a problem if we don't try to effectively take care of solving these issues ahead of time. And with that, we developed out like certain programs, restoration programs, warranty programs, different programs that we could provide to meet budgetary needs to each individual client. Each client gets custom attention. Each client, we kind of do a deep dive on before we put together, an action plan for them. A lot of it is getting out there, doing the exploratory work, just getting eyes on the roof. Every chance that our guys get an opportunity to get up on a roof is an opportunity to take a proactive approach to identify issues and educate our clients on certain things that we can do to prolong the longevity of a roof's lifetime.
Love that.
Joe, I want to jump in here also, if I may, along the same line of conversation. Approximately what percentage of your total service revenue is proactive and what percentage is reactive?
Yeah, so I would say the reactiveness is all the weak calls. It's the weak call. It's picking up the phone and just servicing leaks. I'd say that it's only about a third of our business right now. The other 2/3 is proactive contract work, work that we've created, work that's evolved from a leak call, work that's evolved from having a sales support team out there, work that's evolved from programs in place, work that's evolved from finishing roofs and then and then putting them in certain programs to carry them to put those roofs put those roofs basically in our what happens when Greenwood closes out a roof, it gets brought to us and then we cultivate that relationship. We don't just make it a one and done. We cultivate that relationship. It gets assigned to a sales guy and there's a new relationship there where we take that's another proactive measure where, we'll go out there, we inspect these roofs, we keep eyes on them during our contractor obligations. And in return, after, our contractor obligations done, we have a new client.
So about 2/3 of your revenue in service is proactive. Now, we've already established that you're a union contractor, which at least in general means you're going to be more expensive than everybody else. And so you're more expensive than everybody else. And you're also proactively selling your services. How is it that you're able to be successful selling these proactive services when you're going to be more expensive? What are the keys that you see that you have implemented that allow you to be successful? Because a lot of the people listening to this, and I know some of the people listening to this, not all of them, but I know some of them, they're not very successful at selling proactive anything, and they think it's about price.
No, it's not. I mean, I don't even think about price when I'm thinking service. It really has to do with, how bad do you want it? What do you got to do to separate yourself from your competition? It's not rocket science. It's literally being held accountable, holding your guys accountable, creating a culture and an environment that everybody's on board. It's picking up the phone, it's communicating, it's really just being you're the oh crap button when the facility guy has an issue. It's basically we're not a service company at this point. We're basically a support system. We're a support system that is going to make our end user, which is our client's life easier. So you had to find ways to separate yourself from the others. How are you going to separate yourself from the others? You're going to create a system and a process that is going to basically be a hands-free system. It's going to be a one dial system. It's going to, it's a system that is going to basically take the pain out of the facility manager or the building owner's hands and put it into our, into our system. So yeah, it's just finding that proactive approach to separating yourself, not making yourself a number, by always being communicating, being accountable, having the right people in place so that you're not reactionary, you're being proactive. That's what separates yourself from the dollar.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So.
Yeah. So
other questions. I want you to be able to get through this.
Yeah. Sorry. I had people walking in my door, then I have people talking in the background.
Yeah.
So it just gets chaotic here during the day.
Yeah,
so
no worries. And those of you who are listening, we're going to make some time for questions. You can ask them now if you like in the Q&A, and we'll get to them. But Joe, I think one of the things that I remember trying to sell you and say, come on, man, let's work together. I want to help. I want to work with you. I think you need sales system. And so you started to hire salespeople, and you put them through training. And I'm sure we're not the only thing you guys implemented when it came to sales training, but what it seemed to work was like, hey, we're going to be proactive, which is going to require time, energy, and relationship with our clients. And then they need a way to navigate getting the pain out, listening, getting to the decision makers, prospecting, and then that separated you from this reactionary or price point. Yeah. And so then you started to see that, that was working. And then you got to a point where you were unable to effectively manage, coach, hold them accountable because you're running the entire operation. So you brought on a sales director. And so why don't we talk about this? Because I think you've been one of, if not the most proactive service companies in roofing. And I know you do envelope net services now in building up your sales team. And I think there's a lot of fear that I experience talking with commercial roofers about hiring salespeople or, wanting to build the team. And so maybe they do more of an account manager only person, and then they're not really hunting. And then you just don't have a way to scale the hunting and the new customer acquisition and proactive approach. And you guys have been able to do it. And I know it's what I teach. It's like what we try to, but you have to really spend the money to just train and hire and then put layer management on. And I think that what I've seen you do is you've seen the ROI of a great sales team, and you just kept on the gas, and you're playing offense. It's like smash mouth football. You're just like, we're going to keep going. We're not going to wait. Can you talk about, like, I know we have 8 or 9 bullets here. Speak to the power of like that. And then I know you got into marketing too for lead gen, but let's talk about like the fact that you build one of the fastest growing commercial service teams in the country. How the heck did you build a sales team? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, obviously we started out with, one sales guy, one, maybe then we hired 2, but, it really came down to once we had, structure and a system and a process, we had to figure out, how we were going to increase, our revenue year over year. Some service companies, they're complacent with, okay, I made my 13 million and I'm going to make my 13 million again, and I'm going to hit my number, and I don't think like that. We're a service company. We're solutions driven, but we're sales oriented. And sales oriented means I need to figure out a way to increase, my revenue year over year, and I can't do it myself. So just like any service company or any sales any type of sales organization, we started developing out a sales team, and we developed out a sales team and knew that it was up to me now. At this point, the company is a multi-million-dollar company. I have to take myself out of the picture to focus more on the operational side of things. I'm the one that is operating the company in the day to day. I need to put somebody in place that's going to hold my guys accountable, hold the sales team accountable to drive revenue in each prospective market. So a couple of years ago, we hired on a sales manager. He's evolved into a director of sales. At the time when we hired him, I think we only had 3 sales reps, and we've been able to increase our sales reps just based on putting a sales manager in place, just because of how quickly we've increased our revenue in each prospective market. And it's really you're adding another piece of management to your arsenal, to your division, but you're setting yourself up for success, because now you have somebody holding your sales team accountable. You're setting monthly goals. You're able to track things. You're able to monitor different trends in the industry. You're able to get people in front of people sooner. You're able to market yourself better, network yourself better. It's not, and that's in the beginning when I talked about, separating yourself as a contractor and making yourself a solutions company, a sales organization. You really need to think about how you're going to take yourself to the next level, but you're not going to be able to do it all yourself. You need to build that team. You need to build that environment around you to support your goals, your vision in life. So that's where we went with that. And today we're not growing by the million. We're growing at a good rate. We're growing at right now at like a 20 to 25% rate year over year, which is pretty substantial when you're talking, multi-million-dollar years at this point. It was bigger jumps in the beginning. And now it's steady. It's steady revenue year over year.
Joe, what are you looking like when you think, hey, that doesn't just happen. There's some math to it. And I know you have your sales director who probably helps with that. But, if you have a brand rep at this stage, what do you expect them to sell in year one? What are your people who've been around for a little longer? What are they expecting to sell? What's like with a highly aggressive, expensive, you're higher price, but you learn how to sell value because we're so out in front of the rest of the competition. So that helps you hit your numbers because you're more expensive. But what are your expectations for a sales rep? Because you're like, hey, I'm gonna hire 2 or 3. Is it per market? Is it in the same market? Is it all new business that they're going to get with maybe some leads in their area from your construction side of the house that gives them that account? But what's a year 1, year 2? What are you expecting in your market? Big market, high price company, super aggressive. What do you think?
Yeah. So when we hire sales guys, I'm not hiring guys necessarily with a roofing background. Okay. I'm not taking guys out of the field. I'm not saying you can't, you can.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What? You're suggesting you're hiring salespeople that don't know anything about roofing?
They don't know anything about roofing.
Goodness.
Nope.
How does that work?
So one, I'm taking guys that I feel like are qualified, to build relationships. Okay. They're building relationships. They're communicating, they're holding themselves accountable. They're making sure that deadlines are met. Guys are where they need to be. They're communicating internally with the office, relaying messages back to their clients. All these sales guys, they don't have any roofing experience. We bring them in and we educate them how to be relationships guys. We educate them on how to find success, not necessarily by educating them on roofs. We educate them on roofs over time, and over time they start to develop and understand exactly what they're selling. But it's really, we have the guys in place, we have the field personnel in place, we have the management, project management, the field personnel in place that can help facilitate a conversation. It's really, we're hiring guys that are going to get in front of customers, that are going to achieve walking in the door, getting an opportunity. And when they get that opportunity, they use their support system to then go and close deals.
So Joe, I love that answer. You didn't answer my question directly, so I'm going to ask it again.
Okay.
I'll ask two different things. What's the profile that you like when you're looking for that type of qualified relationship builder? But then what are you expecting? What has been the trend of year 1, year 2, year 3 revenue? When you have somebody who's got 3 years of relationship in, what are they pulling in a year? Are they doing 5, 7, 3, 10?
Yeah.
So give me an idea of kind of what you're seeing in the evolution, and then what do you like? Like, who are you looking for? Probably people, that, again, they don't have roofing experience. So do you like your competitors? Do you like to pull from commercial real estate, like software, technology, healthcare? What are those types of profiles that you like?
I mean, we've pulled from multiple avenues. I've taken people that have and evolved them in the roles from. The most recent one was they worked for a recruiter, so they knew what it took to handle monthly goals, meet KPIs, make a certain amount of phone calls a day, get in front of a certain amount of people a day. Yep. They knew how to close deals. People that talk to, I have individuals that came from other industries, either selling like HVAC or selling some other type of system, but had some familiarity with the type of clients that we want to approach. Right. So we've taken that, but they already have the sales experience. And then we've taken green candidates that maybe came from, like I said, recruiting. I've had other people that have come from like the hospitality industry. My guy down in New York came from like the hospitality industry, where he didn't have any roofing knowledge, but the guy can hold a conversation. The guy can walk in the door and shake a hand. He knows how to follow up. And if he doesn't know the answers, he knows how to source, to take a step back and be truthful with the client and say, hey, I don't have the answer now, but let me get you somebody that can get you that answer. So when I'm setting these goals, year 1, I have expectations that I want them to hit. It's really based on, I would say, year 1, I'm expecting them to do roughly about $1 million worth of business. And that's a challenge. Okay. So when somebody is coming in green, to do $1 million worth of service business is a challenge. I'm not expecting them to get to $1 million. Okay. But I'm setting their goals for $1 million. If somebody tells me that they want to do $500,000 worth of business, I'm going to set their goal for $1 million, because I'm going to want them to increase the amount of leads that they take in on a monthly basis. I'm going to want to double what they do on a month, what their goals are on a monthly basis. So if their goals are, $100,000 worth of service sales, I'm going to want them to go out and try to find $200,000 worth of opportunities, and we're going to have to try to do that, month over month, and not every, our business up here is seasonal. So we have to find ways to get them selling consistently through 12 months out of the year. So we set our expectations high. We try to train and educate our sales guys on how to achieve their goals month over month. And we don't let them settle for basically average,
Love it.
So a lot of these guys at the end of the year, we'll sit down and they'll give me like, what their goals are for the next year. And I'll be like, yeah, you set yourself at 1.5, but I think you can do 2.5. All right. And then we'll forecast their whole 12 months based on $2.5 million. And then we'll set them up with all of the KPIs and all the gates and opportunity, to figure out a way to help them reach their goals each month. And I don't have them take on the whole year all at once. We take it on a day at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time, a quarter at a time. It's not just set in stone. If something doesn't look like it's working out, you got to be able to adjust those numbers throughout the year. And sometimes where you're trending isn't always trending on where you started the year. So you got to be able to catch up, catch these things, keep an eye on them, so that you don't discourage your sales guys when they're, maybe, $250,000 off their mark. You have to be able to adapt to the trends, and you gotta be able to continuously train and educate these guys on staying proactive and almost acting like a solutions provider or consultant for their clients.
I want to jump in here a second for everyone. So understand, for those of you listening, there are occasions when roofing contractors tend to take things very literally. And you have to keep in mind that Joe is in the Northeast, which is one of the most expensive regions in the country. So when he is talking about $1 million, that is not going to apply to somebody in North Carolina or in Houston or in Detroit. And I'm picking those because there's people from those cities on this call.
It's definitely different throughout the country.
What you need to take away from this is he is aggressive and he manages aggressively. And that's the key. That is the key.
Sure. I know Kevin, we worked with him, and he's very similar. Like it's locker room, it's push you, it's shove you, it's poking, it's keep you, you're never satisfied. Real quick, Lauren, can you just go to the Lead ebook? For those of you guys who are interested in one of our resources, you can download a sales leadership guide that I wrote, and we published this year. So I have a question for you, Joe, while people are getting a chance to fill that out. It's a quick form. But Joe, tell me, so your top performers, you don't have to name them by name or any of that, but some of your better performers, what are they now, and how many years in, and how are they starting to perform in terms of their revenue averages? I just want to give people some future vision of, like, when you invest and you're managing their expectations, they're getting more aggressive, they're becoming more skilled, they have better clients. Like, what does it turn into, and how is it turned into for you guys? I want to give people a little hope and vision of this effort of building their sales team, because I'm not here to have you say specific numbers and names, but I just want to give the audience a vision of what it turns into in year 2, 3, or 4. If you have people that long, what are they selling now? About how much a year?
Yeah. So one of my top sales guys, he's been with us for almost 6 years now. And when he came on to Greenwood, he thought it was going to be a layup, and he struggled the first year. He set his expectations high. He had a lot of high expectations. He was a vetted guy in the industry. He came from a competitor. Me and him kind of competed throughout the years. And, at one point I just said, hey, why don't you come work for me and we could do this thing together. And he's been with me ever since. But he struggled. He probably did around $1.5 million his first year. His second year, he jumped. He ended up doing 3. Third year, he ended up doing 4.5. Fifth year, or fourth year, he was around, probably around 5 years. Year 6, which is now, he's trending on 6.5 million. And that's in our most mature market right now. I mean, in our backyard, he's doing about 6.5 million service sales. he's probably doing about 10 to 12 million in roof replacements on top of that service sales. So one of our newer guys that's been around for about 2 years, he did about, this probably makes more sense. He did probably about $300,000 in year one. He's in year 2 right now, and he's trending to roughly $1 million in business. It really takes about a year to ramp up a sales guy. You got to get them familiar, with obviously the industry, but you got to get them familiar with the system and process you have in place. And you got to get them familiar with the sales goals you have in place. And he has to understand what he's selling, with programs, with all the proactive approaches that we have in place. So that's a good one, because he's been with us for 2 years. And he struggled this first year. He was frustrated, and we told him to hang in there, and he hung in there. And this year he's having a great year. He's done probably a little over $1 million in service sales. He just signed on a few big clients, and he's done probably close to $1 million in roof replacements as well. So I mean, there is opportunity there. That would be the trend, though. Whereas your expectations are get them pointed in the right direction, get them selling, get them developing relationships in year 1, and see them kind of take off and flourish in year 2. But the ramp up period is a good 9 to 12 months with any sales guy, just to train them, get them up to speed with your systems, processes, everything that you have to offer.
Yes, for sure. Super good. Lauren, if you could, I want to allow some space for some Q&A, but I want Greg, if we can go over your little slide for those of you who aren't familiar with what Greg's offering here. If you guys haven't worked with Greg or have considered it, please strongly recommend. I highly recommend you work with him, because if you want to build a great service business, or you're looking for your leadership to improve, or to network with other peers, you need to be speaking or have worked with Greg. So scan here to learn more about that. So all those who download the ebook, we'll get that to you, and I appreciate that. But we might have a question for Joe, and then I have another slide maybe after a question or two.
Can I jump in here a second while my slide is on the screen, Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Please. So Ryan and I logged on early today, and Ryan and I are good friends. We've known each other longer than the 3 years that we've been doing this. And Ryan very diplomatically scolded me today for not being more assertive in my selling. I don't push, but I'll make you better. I don't care whether you're Joe at 25 million or if you're somebody that's just starting out. There's somebody on this call that when they started, they had 3 trucks. They hired me. They went to 0 trucks, but I think they're now up to 4. Okay. I will make you better. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be glad to schedule a discovery call with you to see how we might be able to help. But if you really want to roll, you need to fix your roles, and that QR code there will take you to a free training. Now I'll shut up.
Greg, I worked with you early on, and you educated me on trucks. Okay. So you educated me on trucks, how to maximize the trucks, the output of the trucks, how to gauge their performance. So it's not only a sales team that we're looking at, but we're looking at the guys that we have out in the field. We're only as good as the guys that we have out in the field that execute the work. Being able to manage those guys, set up goals for those guys as well, reward those guys, have those guys push to maximize their potential for you. It really is a mindset, and it's not rocket science, but it's developing a culture and a mindset around you that everybody's on the same page for the same common goal.
Love it. Lauren, go to the next slide, and then I'm going to kick it for the last question the slide before with our stuff. So if you're not working with us, we are really I believe we're just the really effective at helping commercial roofing companies grow and develop their sales organizations, from comp plans to managing and hiring, to structuring their compensation, to the sales process, to coaching, to recruiting. to expansion, to being proactive, to transforming your culture. When I first started, it was me. I would come to your office, you get Ryan, and then eventually I was getting, limited. So I built a course and a group coaching model, which was less touch, but still the same content. And now we've come full circle at STG, where we have dedicated coaches, and we have coaches now that are going on site, even listening to ride along software, coaching calls in the field, helping manage sales meetings, helping be a fractional sales leader in a way that, is going to transform your business with our coaches and our training. So if you guys are serious about developing we like to say sales athletes, like people out in the field, putting up points every single day, and you're looking for a partner to do that, we're here to help. You can download this QR code, answer some questions like you did the ebook, and we could discuss what our actual program would look like for you. But super just grateful for Joe and his success and how we've had a small part of his journey, but ultimately he's a winner wanting to win. And if you're going to do that, you need to invest in ongoing training and coaching, internally, externally, combo, both, all of the above. You're not going to get there by yourself. So go ahead and do this. And you can also contact us. I want to ask a question here that was in the group, Joe, while this is up. What percentage of your service clients are public, like public schools, municipality versus private? And, what are your tips on selling preventative maintenance and proactive solutions to the public sector?
So the public sector, that's publicly bid. So, we have guys that specifically search for those either in the bid portals or the central registry. I think the biggest thing is when you have the opportunity to bid them and you have the capabilities to bid them, bid them. I'd say we're probably 30-70, on my side, where maybe we have 30% public and then 70% private. So our public, though, once we get in with a public contract, it's yours to cultivate. It's not, you're not always set to the terms of the contract, whereas there's a lot of opportunity once you're in. If you nurture that relationship and they like you and they want to keep you, there's ways for them to keep you. Your contract doesn't just expire when it expires. Sometimes it does, and you have to rebid it. Sometimes you lose it, but there are majority of the times where a lot of these state contracts or publicly bid contracts, they have the opportunity to do contract extensions. So I would say if you have the opportunity to bid them, it's a good way to excel your service division and keep your service division consistently working. But it's not, we're not like a 50-50. I'd say, we handle publicly service contracts as they're bid, and but majority are relationships driven on the private side.
Good. Anybody have any questions for Joe or Greg or myself? We got a good group, a lot of quiet folks here right now. I know quite valuable information.
I said too much.
No, there's gears turning, Joe. There's gears turning.
Yeah. Let me just if there's anybody new to service or trying to start service or sales team, when I was trying to manage everything myself and train my sales guys at the same time, I did utilize Ryan. Ryan came in. He worked with the maybe 2 or 3 sales guys that we had. That kind of started the idea of getting a sales manager on staff, because at that point, once we evolved, and I needed somebody full-time to manage that sales team. But when I didn't have that, we did lean on guys like Ryan. Ryan's team had a great team that supported us with any questions that we had on a weekly basis. They were always there. They always had the weekly calls that our sales guys could hop on at any time and utilize as training platforms while we were still developing out roles, systems, and process. So,
thanks, Joe. Got a question that was asked, really helpful. Digital strategy. Can you expand on that? Some of your LinkedIn ads you've tested and some of the things like that.
Yeah, so we've really we strategize on digital strategies on a weekly basis. I think throughout the whole company, I'm probably the most hands-on with the marketing team. I always have been hands-on with the marketing team. And I think sales goes hand in hand with marketing strategy. So I would say that we've dabbled with pretty much all the social media campaigns, trying to trigger hits in Google. And I think the most success we have is how well our marketing strategy is, not only like with the Google hits, but we do really well on LinkedIn. And then we also do really well with our marketing team managing our interactive website. We get a lot of leads and traction that come in on a daily, weekly basis from our website now, just by keeping up with our website, keeping people informed, driving all of your traffic, that all of your links, everything that you add to your media campaigns, drive the traffic to your website. I mean, that's the biggest thing we do, and we capture a lot of our audience and opportunities. They come through hits that are driven directly to our website.
Awesome. We're getting a bunch of questions now. We're going to move fast to be on time. So short, direct answers so we can get through them. Do your sales guys inspect the roof as well as sell it? And do you get the opportunity and then a tech goes inspect? So sales guys inspect, or do you delegate that?
No, I mean, we have a full-time inspector on staff. So I have a guy that does 100% inspections, and that's all he does. But our sales guys will go out and inspect too. But we've grown to where I have a full-time inspector on my staff that does all of our inspections hands-on.
Great. Greg, can you get the other one? I have something I'm doing at the same time real quick.
Yeah. Do you recommend having a sales team specifically for service versus commercial? I think it means project sales combined with service.
That is a double-edged sword. So I've gone both ways with that. I'd say right now, the relationships that our service guys have kept us out of the bidding process on a lot of jobs. I could tell you this year, just from service relationships and things evolving from service, even I had to like calculate the figures, but we've done probably about 20 million that my sales guys have sold in roof replacements, roofing sales that never went out to bid. It's all relationship driven, and it all came from, some start of either a leak or a service call or maybe a restoration. So I like the fact that our service guys are hands-on when it sells roof replacements, but I can see from the Greenwood industry side that only focuses on roof replacements, how they could utilize somebody that only does replacement sales, works with general contractors trying to close jobs. I could see it separating like that, some sort of business development on the production side. But right now, my system works, and we not only drive a lot of revenue for GRS, but we drive a lot of revenue for the other entities in the company, which makes us really well-rounded for the company. It keeps things out of bid.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll let you answer it. Do you price your maintenance plans by the square foot, or do you customize your pricing plan according to each client?
Price it according to each client.
Of course. The idea, if somebody calls you on the phone and says, "Hey, I need a new roof," you don't say $4.75 a square foot. You go look at it. Service is the same thing.
You got to go look at it. It's not.
Go look at it.
Yeah, no square foot pricing. If you're gonna price something and you're gonna price it competitively and you're gonna make yourself different from the others, go out, look at it, give them a price, show them what you're gonna do. Don't base it off square feet.
I love this one here. How do you convince your owners that a sales team is needed to grow a service department when you are already successful?
Good question.
Well, I wouldn't be successful without my sales team. So, I mean, it's the owner of my company, every time he comes in here, and if we're having a crappy month, his first comment to me is, you need more sales guys. You need more sales guys, you know, because it's a proven track record on our end. Sales guys, we get our return on investment on sales guys just by having them out there interacting with the clients and selling face to face. They're hands on. You know, it's really, are you going to sit back and wait for the order to come to you, or are you going to go out and get it?
Yeah, you're already successful, maybe, but what if you lose your biggest client next year? They go with somebody else, right? Then
you should have you should have in the pipeline probably 10 or 12 of those clients ready to go. You know,
right.
you can't. That's the other thing too. I always tell my guys, once you get a good one, like a good client on the hook, we nurture them, we take care of them, but don't settle for that particular client to make or break your year.
Totally.
You know, go out and find the next one. We need another 3 or 4 of those clients.
All right, Joe, blazing through these. All right.
How many service trucks do you have?
27.
Do you using FCS data form, or what do you?
Yep, we utilize FCS.
Okay.
What is your main source of work? Facility manager, property manager, owners. Do you focus on one or all? I think I know the answer, but what's your highest percent? You know, your highest percentage of client profile at Greenwood?
At Greenwood Industries or GRS under the service?
GRS service.
It would be, honestly, it would be manufacturers. You know, our best return is with a facility. We go after facility management, you know, whether it's a food distribution center or somebody that manufactures some sort of products, you know, somebody that has to manage multiple roofs, a campus, somebody that has like 1 million plus square feet of roofing that needs attention. You know, I would say there's no set, you know, it's not, those are the long-term customers, you know, the people that, you know, call you when they have a problem, when they have issues with, you know, they can't have any water drip through their plant, you know, and those are the type of customers that are long-term.
So maybe it would be helpful to say this: you don't do $25 million in service revenue by just focusing on hospitals. You have to focus on a lot of different things.
Yeah, you have to focus on all the industries that require roof maintenance, zero tolerance for any type of intrusions in their buildings. And honestly, those are the type of clients that you develop a life cycle of solutions with, that in return you start with, you know, managing their leaks, you're developing out scopes of work for different situations, and, you know, you're doing patchwork, you're doing curb work. They're always adding and putting things on roofs, taking things off roofs. So you become their go-to guy. And then in return, the goal is you complete the life cycle with a roof replacement, and then you do it all over again. You know, so that's why we're kind of service driven first, with the end result being a roof replacement. And that can go in hospitals, that can go in college campuses, that can go in manufacturers. I mean, or property management companies, real estate companies. So, and I'm not talking, you know, homeowner real estate companies. I'm talking commercial real estate companies that own buildings.
Joe, when you start working with when you're servicing repairs, how often do you see your salespeople checking in with your clients and their proactive communication? This is our last question, and we'll wrap up.
They check in weekly. They check in daily. We utilize sales CRMs. We have sales CRMs in place that set appointments. They set reminders to continuously follow up and try to track and close deals. They're always we send out surveys. We do all kinds of things to keep in front of the clients, so that we know that we're making them happy, and we're doing the right thing for them based on what their needs are.
Hey, for you guys, put in the chat your appreciation for this time as we come to a close. If you don't mind, just showing a little love and honor and for the time that Joe's put in here. If you do have interest in our lead ebook or partnering with us, we have links right here. We can leave it open for a few minutes. But if you guys could just express your gratitude, Joe, super valuable. We're really grateful for your time and your experience that you're pouring into USG today. Yeah,
I
Greg.
appreciate you guys having me.
Final word, Greg.
Joe, thank you. That was really helpful.
Thanks, Greg.
Tell Matt I said hi.
I will.
Yep. Excellent.
See him tomorrow.
Well, Joe, if anybody does have any interest in touching base with you, what's the best way for them to contact you? Like on LinkedIn or?
Yeah, I mean, look me up on LinkedIn. Brian, if anybody contacts you directly and they want to connect, feel free to connect them with me via cell phone or email. But LinkedIn's easy enough. If you guys want to just send me a quick note, I'd be more than happy to connect with you guys and answer any questions that we weren't able to answer today.
Super good. Super helpful. Thanks for making yourself available today. And to those.
And the recording of this will be on both Ryan and my websites once we get it post-processed.
Sure will. All right, everybody. Thank you. Until next time.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.